Okay, so I'm using this floor plan here as an example, okay? Now, on your SPA floor plans, I don't expect you to have your staircase or your other doors within the house ready as yet, okay? Now, I'm going to show you a version with the staircase and without the staircase, all right? So as you can see, I have a sample of a floor plan which I'm going to draw, which I'm going to do an elevation for, okay? Now, before we start the elevation, we need some sort of outline of a roof, okay? So what I'm going to do here is select a default hatch layer, which is the white one. I'm going to select polyline. I'm going to outline the edge of my building. So in the meantime, right now, I'd like to do the same. Select the default layer, which is the white line. Select polyline and just outline the edge of your building. Yes. Now, good question. So for those of you who want to challenge yourself and do the veranda roof separate from the main building roof, we can do so as well, okay? So I'm going to do two copies of that, two examples of that, sorry. So I'm going to take this first one here. So the first outline is where I'm going to create one roof for the entire building. The second one would be where I have two roofs, one which actually covers the main part of the building, and the second roof would be just for the veranda, okay? Thank you for whoever suggested that. So again, it's not necessary that you have to put the veranda roof separate from the main building. For those of you who would like to challenge yourself, you can do that, okay? Just remember. Is everyone finished? Is everyone finished? Now, please, ladies, I need a response from you because we need to move on. I need to know if everyone's on the same page. All right, so moving on. Now, what you see here is the outline of your building, okay? It has nothing to do with the roof as yet. So we're going to create a layer. we're gonna call it building outline. Create a new layer, call it building outline. Select the color as yellow, and the line type would be dashed line. Okay, so ISO dash. Select OK. For those of you who may not have that up, what you're gonna do is select line type, select load, and then you're gonna look for ISO dash within the description. Once you've selected it, click OK. Automatically, you're gonna see it on the window previously, like what I had before. But because I have it here already, it's not showing up, okay? So once you've selected it, once you've loaded, sorry, you're gonna see it within the space here. Select it, click OK. I'm going to select both building outlines, change the layer to building outline, just a yellow dash line. For some of you, you may or may not be able to see the dash line. All right, don't be worried. But usually when it prints, it actually shows. So again, remember, building outline is layer, color yellow, line type dash. ISO dash. All right, so moving on. Now here, what you have to do is to establish the eave for your building outline, okay? So remember, this yellow line has nothing to do with a roof, all right? All the lines we're about to draw after this here has to do with the roof, okay? So this yellow line here does not represent the roof, it just represents the building outline. So the first thing you have to do is to establish the eave of your building. Now, for those of you in my class, you would know that the maximum size of an eave is 450 millimeters or 1 foot 6 inches if you were to convert it into feet and inches, okay? So again, maximum is 450. It can be anything less than that, borderline 450 and anything less, okay? In this case, I'm going to offset my eave to 300 millimeters. You don't have to do the same thing. You can make it different if you wish. And from the building outline, I'm going to offset outwards, okay? Not inwards, outwards. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the second one, but what you're going to realize is that the eave was only offset to this section of the building, all right? Now I have to do the same for the veranda section if you want to make an extra roof for your veranda, okay? Any problems so far? Yes? Mm-hmm. Excuse me? Again, it's two different roofs, okay? Now, I'll advise that you do this here still if your roof does have a lot of curves or edges. Kelsey, no? All right. Now I'm going to create another layer. I'm going to call it the fascia board, because that second line we just offset there is not called the eave, but it's going to represent part of the fascia board, okay? Color, red, line type, continuous. So I'm going to select those outer lines. And switch it over to the fascia board. Somebody had their hand up. Again, it's up to you. All right, so for the show of hands, the persons who want to challenge themselves to do two routes within the floor plan, within the elevation, just raise your hand, please. Okay. The persons who want to challenge themselves to create two routes on the elevation, just raise your hand, please. So the persons who chose this one here, raise your hand. Persons who chose this one here, keep your hands down. Persons who did this here, raise your hand, please. All right, thank you. So for those of you who want to do the two roofs, I'm going to do that section last. I'm going to try to do the simpler one first, okay? All right? But still pay attention. All right. So from here, what you're going to do is include the thickness of your fascia board. So again, remember, the yellow line represents the building outline. The red line represents the fascia board. The space in between is the eave. All right? So from the fascia board, you're going to offset 25 millimeters. So the red line, offset outwards 25 millimeters. All right? Now, for the sake of those of you who may not know how to do certain roofs, I'm going to show three examples: a gable roof, a hip roof, and a hip and valley roof. Okay? So that doesn't mean that you have to do all three of them. Again, I told you all for homework yesterday was to choose which roof to go and review your types of roofs and choose which one you want to do for your SBA. I'm not going to tell you what roof to do. I'm going to help assist those of you who are doing hip and valley roofs, because it may be a bit complicated depending on the shape of your floor plan. And for those of you who are doing the two roofs, I'm going to be looking at you all a bit closely rather than those of you who chose the simpler one like the gable roof or the hip roof. Okay? So again, persons who are getting first priority are those of you who did the hip and valley roof, or chose the hip and valley roof, or the two separate roofs. Okay? All right, so everybody has the thickness of their fascia board there. All right. Now I'm going to create another layer and call it rafters. I'm going to create another layer and call it ridge. Okay? Now the rafters is going to represent all the rafters within the roof plan. So that's common rafter, hip rafter, valley rafter, any other kind of rafters that you may know of. Okay? Again, rafters, color is red, line type continuous. Should I, man? I haven't forgotten yours yet. Huh? I'm still waiting. And the other one is called the ridge. Again, for those of you who may have forgotten what the ridge is, it's basically the center, the spine of the roof that holds the rafters together. Okay? Most of the rafters, not all of them. All right? Again, line type is continuous, okay? Now, for those of you who are doing the gable roof, remember that a gable roof is like an upside down V, all right? So it means that there is only one ridge and common rafters which are attached at a 90-degree angle from that ridge, okay? So the first thing you have to do is find the center of which direction you want the roof to be, okay? Now, because this edge of the roof is longer than this edge, I'm going to find the center of the shorter distance than the longer distance, okay? So you look for your longest line, which is not the building outline, but the fascia board line, okay? As you can see here, I've attached my line from the inner section to inner section. So it's up to you to do inner line from inner line or outer line from outer line. It doesn't matter which one, okay? So once I've drawn that draft line right there, it's going to then show me the center if I was to draw a line from the center point of this white line. So I'm going to go and select ridge, layer, select line, find the center, all right? Now for those of you who may be hovering over the line and you can't find the center, in order to find it, look at the bottom right-hand corner. Within those small panels, you're going to see a little lined square, without a green dot on the top left-hand corner. Select the arrow, and then you're going to select midpoint. All right, make sure it's ticked. Back to here now. I'm going to select line tool, find the center, and draw the ridge from that draft line we have there to the edge of the fascia board. All right. Then you're going to select the line again and extend the bottom piece to meet the other edge right here. All right. We're going to erase that draft line we have there. And I assume everyone knows how to make common rafters, right? Yes? All right, so I'm not going to go through that. So this is how you make a gable roof. You just split the roof in half. You put your common rafters perpendicular on 90-degree angles to the ridge board. And that's it. All right? Moving on to the hip roof. You have to find, at each edge of the roof, you have to create a 45-degree angle. Okay? So in this case, I'm going to use the rafter layer, select it, coming down towards the bottom right-hand corner, the circle with two lines that meet like an angle. You're going to select the little arrow next, the little white arrow next to it, and you're going to select the 45, 90, 135, 180-degree angle. Okay? Not the others, this one here. And then from each edge, you're going to draw a line that snaps at a 45-degree angle within the floor plan or the roof plan in this case, okay? So all four edges, snap at a 45-degree angle. Over here, the same. Now again, if you look at my drawing here, you're going to realize that the rafters, if I was to attach a ridge in between where the two rafters meet, it's not going to be straight, all right? So in this case, I can choose which side. So just to show you a better view, I'm going to trim the edge. So these lines here that are at a 45-degree angle, or the rafters, the hip rafters, okay? I'm going to select the ridge line. From this corner, I'm going to draw a ridge to touch this rafter right here. And instead of using this as it is, I'm going to move this line, this hip rafter, to meet this section right here, okay? So everything else would be at a 45-degree angle except for this one right here because of its irregular shape. All right? Trim the excess lines. And that is a basic outline of a hip roof. Okay? Again, your rafters should be perpendicular to the ridge or the fascia board in this case. So it'll be running, the vertical rafters will be running in this direction, and the horizontal rafters will be running in this direction. All right? Only one person in my class. Oh, Tony was sleeping already. And for the last one, the hip and valley roof. Similar to the hip roof, the only thing is that you're going to have more rafters to connect. All right? So at each corner, each edge that you see on your floor plan, you're going to have to draw a 45-degree angle. All right. So again, pay attention, please. So as you can see, at each corner of the building, I've drawn a 45-degree angle line to represent the hip rafters, okay? There's only one valley rafter within this roof plan, and that's this line right here, okay? Always remember valley rafters are within an edge like this within a building, okay? Like the inner edge, not the outer edge. The outer edge are hip rafters, the inner edges, like these here, are valley rafters, okay? Now what I'm gonna do is try to connect it with a ridge, all right? Always remember that ridges usually run straight or horizontally or vertically, okay? So I'm gonna select the ridge layer, draw a line to connect this hip rafter here to this valley rafter right here. Remember, the line in between here is called what? The what? The what? All right, the ridge. Always remember ridges run vertically and horizontally, okay? I'm going to do the same thing here again. Point here to this here. And that's another ridge, okay? I'm going to trim the excess line of this hip rafter, the excess over here. And then I'm going to connect the edge of this ridge here to the edge of this ridge up here. And that would be a hip rafter. So I'm going to select rafters again, draw a line from this point here to this point here. And that's how you do a hip and valley roof. Okay? Okay? All right. Now, for those of you who did the two roofs, again, it's up to you to choose any of these here, all right, to do within the large building space here, okay? So if you're doing a hip and valley roof, you know how to go about it. If you want to do a gable roof, you draw one ridge and you attach your common rafters to it. If you want to do a hip roof, you find the four corners of your roof, 1, 2, 3, and 4, attach it with a ridge, and that would leave you with this roof here by itself, okay? Now, usually for verandas, they use shed roofs, okay? So it's not a roof with two slopes, it's just a roof with one slope, okay? So you don't need a ridge. What you're gonna do is attach the rafters to the edge of the building wall, which is this yellow line right here, okay? Can you see that? Yes. Same principle applies, okay? So to make things a little bit less complicated, I'm going to change the color of the veranda wall here, okay? Now again, this is not something you have to do. I'm just doing it for reference, okay? So the veranda wall will be a lighter yellow than the main building wall, okay? So again, remember you can choose any roof to place within the large section of the building, okay? In my case, I'm going to do a hip and valley roof. Now, let's just show you all something here. What you're going to realize is that there's an indentation in this corner here. Now, by rights, from what I've showed you, that means I shouldn't put a rafter here, but would not allow the roof to line up correctly, okay? So I'm going to leave this corner here as it is. I will not add any rafters. So this section here will be one side of the roof for itself, okay? So I'm going to stop here. I'm going to add my ridge. To connect to this point here. All right. I'm going to trim the lines. Then I'm going to connect the two ridge with a rafter, like so. All right. So the main section of the building would have its own roof. This here is just a simple hip and valley roof. Okay. Now the portion we're looking at now is the veranda piece. Okay. These two lines there. Now I'm going to change the layer for these here so it won't confuse you. All right. So all the red lines is basically the eave for the veranda roof. Okay. Now from here, what you're gonna do is try to extend the edge of your roof. So we'll look for fascia board. From the edge here, I'm gonna bring it outwards to meet here. All right. And then I'm gonna connect. Well, as you can see, these two lines here connect. The only thing is that it's hidden underneath these two here. I'm gonna remove it just so you can see it properly, okay? Can you all see? All right. I'm gonna do the same thing over here and connect the edge of the roof right there. All right. So the same thing applies. You include the thickness of your fascia board, 25 millimeters, outwards on both sides, and also on these little pieces right here. All right. I'm gonna then chamfer or connect the two lines like so. And then to indicate what direction your roof is being sloped at, I'm going to draw the rafters for this here, okay? So, oh, so from here, I'm going to allow my rafter distance. So I'm going to offset at 600. So from this edge here, 600 inwards, thickness of my rafter is 50 millimeters. I'm going to just select the rafters and copy the distance, which is from this edge here, throughout the roof. All right. So it basically means that my roof is now running from this here would be the high point, and the water will be running towards the front of the roof. You understand? Yes, no? Maybe, kinda. For those of you who are actually trying this roof, do you understand? Say again, Kirsten? You sure? All right. So in the meantime, I'm going to give you 10 minutes to finish the outline of the roof if you haven't. Is everyone finished, by the way? Is 10 minutes enough? Well, it has to be enough because I find it's too much. The outline of the roof. What I showed you here. Yes. I need to come? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, go ahead. What is it? Again, for those of you who are actually common after, so don't ask you to do that. But do not worry. Again, for those of you who did this study around us, so please represent to one line. If you don't change it to one line, or you will draw again. So copy one line. Anybody else? That's right. What's the problem? Why because on the draft came out quickly? Okay, so Alright, ladies, so that's all we can do for today. Everybody has their group, right? Yes? Anybody experiencing problems? Nice. Anybody else having problems? Yes, no?
No, yes.
Alright. So for those of you who have a at home, what you can do is make a copy of that group and start your group, okay? But for the elevation, I want you to have that online, draft on bridge, so you can complete it tomorrow, okay? So again, you can basically start on your group plan still. So make a copy of that section that you did, continue it for the work, alright? Just remember if you have it with the doors in on the two sides, okay, that's okay? Any questions so far?
Yes.
All right, ladies. Yes. Uh, paper space quotes and then statement. That's also the Sivan, the different name, and put some other kind of languages. So, please remember that you have to write your name. Some of the papers will be passed around. Just ensure that you write your own name, not allow anyone else to write your name. Okay? Right? Perpendicular, 90 degree angle from the station. All the previous.
Shaking my head.
Perpendicular, location forward. One will have perpendicular. So from that line, you're going to Let's say we have something to the person where he comes over next.